Hello, beautiful being. Welcome to In Her Dreams and welcome to your reading. I am so grateful that you're taking time to tune in to see what messages are flowing in from Spirit for you. Ashe. Thank you, Divine. You hear the voice of the Divine. Don't be confused. You hear the voice of the Divine. There are certain stories in the media. I don't know the woman's name, but there's somebody who's really big right now in the headlines. And something tragic that she did to her children. But there's a lot of talk about psychosis and the experience that she had, where she said that she heard a voice telling her to do the crime that she did. And that is a thing. Psychosis is a thing. But hearing the voice of the Divine is another. So you have to know yourself. I'm not a medical doctor, okay? But please know that for divine beings who are tuning into their psychic awareness, that's not mental illness. That's not mental illness. And there are people who will try to tell you that it is. There are people who will tell you that if you have heard your higher self, if you have heard your intuition, that means that you're experiencing psychosis. But that is not mental illness. Psychosis is psychosis. Intuition is intuition. Psychic gifts are psychic gifts. Clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairaudience are what they are. So there's somebody who needs to hear that, because it can be very easy to be led down a path of being told that when you hear your intuition speaking to you, when you are connecting with your clairaudient gifts, that's crazy talk. Okay? And some people do experience psychosis. I'm not saying that that's not a real thing. But also, you know, judgment is a thing. If anybody on this earth hears somebody whisper in their ear to go and end somebody's life, I hope they realize that that is psychosis and that is not clairaudience. So something about that, okay, if you are tapping into your psychic abilities, your psychic gifts, maybe somebody's trying to make you think you're crazy. Okay, because especially early on our path, there are certain things that are very trying experiences that we encounter that are meant to test us, right? And depending on where we are on our spiritual journey, sometimes what a person says might carry more weight than it should. So that's just a word of encouragement to you, all right? Psychosis and clairaudience are two separate things. All right? Thank you, Spirit. The ancestors are coming through. With that said, the ancestors are coming through with a message. Thank you, ancestors, who I speak to every day, and they speak back. Yes, they do. Okay? Thank you, Divine. What's the message here? Ancestors, oh wow. They said remember. An ancestor is coming through and they're saying to remember who you are. And also you are remembering who you are. So I feel like I'm speaking to someone who is really reconnecting with your truth, with the true gifts that you have. And there are beings who will try to make you think that, you know, oh, that's crazy talk. You know, you may have been baptized. That's just coming through. I'm seeing this baby here or christened. I don't know all the terminology for the different denominations, but you may have a religious background, right? So there could be people who are trying to push you down a path that you don't want to go down, and you're very much inspired to do your thing, right? Yeah, because I'm seeing here like there's an angelic being who's protecting you on your spiritual path from any harmful energy being projected towards you, where the intention of that energy is to separate you from your truth, from your true abilities. But this ancestor is coming through, and they're like, since you were a baby, you've shown signs of being psychically gifted. You know, they talk about how babies born these days, they're like born with their eyes open, and there are certain things that some of these babies demonstrate, like behaviors that they demonstrate, where it's like we can see that this is a different time. Some of these babies feel so, or seem so connected to another realm as soon as they are born. But this is you, whoever this reading is meant for, okay? Take what resonates, but you have very strong abilities that perhaps you felt hindered from using those abilities because of a religious path that you were forced to experience, or maybe you weren't forced to go to church or forced to be of a certain cult or organization, but that's what you were expected to do. So it's like that can be just as bad, where you might not be explicitly told to do it, but it's the culture. So if you don't do it and you're young, you know, these are the people who pay your bills. These are the people who are responsible for clothing you and feeding you. So, I mean, what are you really going to do? You know, if you know that that's what they want and they expect. So there could be something there where you just felt like it was what you had to do, but all the while you felt like you were forsaking something that was inherent within you. So you're receiving ancestral protection and guidance at this time, and it's with you. As long as you want that protection, it will be with you. I'm seeing an ancestor reach out their hand, and as long as you reach yours back, they will be there with you. They say, if you reject our help, we will not help you. But as long as you're open to receive our help, we will be here with you. Okay, there's something here about addiction. There could have been something either in your family or potentially within your past where you or someone in your family was very tempted to depend on something that was unhealthy. Okay, there's alcohol here on this card, but it does not have to be that, okay, because there are so many things that we can depend on in an unhealthy way, right? Behaviors, but there's something about with you connecting with your true gifts and your true path, your true spiritual path, kind of turning away from what you've been forced to do, not out of spite, just because it's just because you love you and you are drawn to your truth, right? Because I'm getting that there could be someone here who's trying to make it seem like you're just doing this to be difficult, or you're just doing this because, no, it's because you are experiencing what your soul brought you here to experience in this lifetime, clearly since you were a baby. Okay, this is what you're meant to do. But it's something about when you reject the truth that lives inside you and your true spiritual path, there could be this tendency to depend on something that's not healthy. So if there is a tendency to have some sort of dependency on a substance or on a behavior, you're going to find that it's much easier, it feels much more natural to abstain from that. Or if it's something that you can experience within moderation and still be healthy, okay, you would know, this is your experience, so take what resonates. You're gonna find that it's much easier to live in a healthy way, or to abstain from that unhealthy behavior or substance, okay, as you are connecting with your true path, living your truth, yeah. Yeah, you're shining. Oh, I didn't show this one, all right, because I noticed those wings. There is an ancestor who has struggled with addiction, and they're here to help you, and they're also encouraging you to live your truth, because they know that that's going to help you to live a healthy life, okay? And you're going to shine. Not only are you going to be healthy, but you're going to be shiny. Also, there's something very unique about you. There's something inherently joyful about you that perhaps you haven't been able to experience that joy in its fullness, because it's like a blockage. Somebody wanted you to go down a different path, and it just wasn't for you. It just wasn't for you. Okay, he said wild mystic. You have pure intentions. Also, there could be water energy here. There's healing energy that you're going to experience. You're going to flow more on your path because you're doing what's truly meant for you. What else is coming through for this beautiful being, Spirit? Oh, a deal with the devil. Love and play. You're healing from something. You're experiencing balance. Maybe after something that you felt like you had to keep secret, something that you were maybe ashamed of, and Divine is showing you that there's nothing about you that's shameful. There's nothing about you that you need to feel ashamed of. And anything that you did, I'm getting that it was, you were always trying to heal yourself, but you didn't have the freedom to do it in the way that your soul was guiding you to do. So you tried another way, and it felt like hitting a brick wall every time. That was never going to work. Whatever it was that you were doing before, it was never going to work. That's what's coming through, okay? Know if this is your message, okay? But there's something about a deal with the devil, and it came right under that card, that remember card. So there's something that you were being forced to do since your youth that just wasn't for you, and it could have been presented and wrapped up as, you know, divine and loving. Yeah, that's what I'm getting. It was like a deal with the devil, but it was called love. Somebody was calling it love. It wasn't love, it was control. It was the opposite of peace. It was consistent chaos. But it could have even been like very like organized. Okay, I just saw 1414 on the timer, so you're coming into a state of temperance, of true balance and patience with yourself. It feels like something that was so neatly packaged. I'm just getting that energy like, this is how we do things. Okay, you must fit in the box. And it's like, to hell with that, what? But the word christen, maybe somebody's name is Chrissa, okay? Also Chrysalis is coming through. Chrysalis, I don't know. But crystal, you might work with crystals. So there's something that people were presenting as pure, but it wasn't pure at all. It was based in control. And they were trying to control you. For some of you, Scientology might be relevant, okay? Just take what resonates. So, that's where it's like, this was really like a deal with the devil, okay? That was not made by you, but it was made for you. That's what I'm getting. It was like a tradition or something that you were expected to do because that's just the way. That was the way. Like, that's what perhaps your family did, maybe for generations, maybe that was a part of the culture. But you're coming into a state where, look, and that's with addiction, right? That's under the addiction card. Then under the shine card, we've got play, heal, and balance. And balance, that's Libra energy, but I'm also getting like, I know that temperance is Sagittarius energy, so that might be significant to you as well. But I'm really getting like with balance, I'm getting the temperance vibe, even though this is Libra. Okay? You're coming into a different zone where you're able to play. Your spiritual path is meant to be fun because it's who you are. It's meant to be enjoyable. And of course, there are things that as we heal, some things are hard to deal with because, you know, we're dealing with things like trauma and fear and insecurity. But as you heal, you can play. This is about your inner child coming out to play, doing the things that you loved to do when you were a child, connecting with nature, walking in the rain, watching the clouds, making shapes with the clouds, you know? It's like, you may have been told in the past that your spiritual path was supposed to be painful, that you were supposed to punish yourself, that you were supposed to hurt, and that was the way to gain forgiveness. And it's like, that's somebody else's story. That's someone else's dogma. But it was handed to you as what was supposed to be your path. And it's just not. If this is your reading, that's not your path. That truly is devil energy. And I find it so ironic because it feels like whoever would just like look at whatever background it is that you were forced into or expected to, you know, get on the bandwagon and ride along with everybody else, looking at it from the outside, most people would say, oh, this is so organized, and they would see all of these positives. But living through it, whatever it is you experienced, beautiful being, it's like you really saw the devil nature. You saw the control. You saw the, oh, I just looked at Saturn. Yeah, it's like this was the harsh life experience, you know? I mean, yeah, Capricorn could be significant, doesn't have to be. I'm just getting control and time and expectations and punishment. That's what it feels like was presented to you as, oh, but this is love. And somebody called that love. So whatever behaviors you struggled with, beautiful being, what's coming through this reading is that I see why it, having to deal with what you were forced to deal with, you know, how do we cope? How do we cope? And so it feels like maybe you were doing something in order to be okay, because something was being called love and it just wasn't. It just wasn't. With that intention card, I initially saw that as like water energy and healing energy. But I'm also seeing, like, with this jellyfish and intention, it's almost like maybe you question someone's intentions. Like, why are you making me do this? Maybe you started to wonder why you were doing it, and if you really wanted to, and that led you to come to this space where you're like, I'm gonna go on my path. I'm gonna do what I'm led to do. You know? So you decided to go your own way. That's powerful. That's extremely powerful. Where are we going with this, Spirit? Okay. The Priestess of Light. What's coming through for this beautiful being, Divine? What do they need to know? Divine Feminine. A Divine Feminine card came out in the other deck, the Sacred Symbols deck, in the last reading. Very different readings, though, but, you know, both could resonate. But anyway, we have Divine Feminine here. So the Divine Feminine is definitely moving throughout the Divine Collective. I love that. You're magnetic and you have extremely strong receptive power. And that's what's being ignited. Also, we have a hummingbird here. For me, that's always the ancestors. So there are ancestors that are definitely connecting with you at this time. I'm hearing, if you're quiet, you'll hear them. Just like you can hear the flutter of the hummingbird, their wings. You'll hear your ancestors. That goes back to that clairaudience with somebody maybe telling you that, oh, that somebody might be, if you're from a religious background, they might be telling you, oh, you're not really talking to your ancestors. I heard somebody say, when someone thinks they're talking to the ancestors, is actually a familiar spirit that's pretending to be them. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When you really get into your spiritual path, there are beings who, when they become aware of what you're doing, if they are also spiritual workers, sometimes they will try to interfere between you and your ancestors. Okay? But when you speak protection over yourself and over your spiritual energy, there is nothing that can penetrate that shield of protection that can get to your ancestors, because your ancestors are inside of you. Okay? You share their DNA. You wouldn't be here without them. They're a part of you. And so to reject a person, for a person to reject their ancestors, it's like they're rejecting themselves. And that's what's so sad to me that religion does, is it really truly forces us to reject ourselves. It forces us to take on someone else's dogma instead of really getting to know spirit up close and personal, because we have spirit flowing through us. So that's what I'm seeing here is with this Divine Feminine. You see how that power is coming from her? It's like owning your power, owning your relationship with your ancestors. Taking back whatever someone claimed was not yours to begin with. How is somebody going to tell you that your ancestors aren't your own and that you don't have the right to speak with them? Because that's demonic. You know, it's like anything within religion that they don't want us to connect with is demonic. Come on now. You're reclaiming what's yours. This is like you're reclaiming your inheritance. This is your spiritual inheritance that somebody, some religion tried to get between you and it. But it is you. So they were really trying to separate you from yourself. And then calling it demonic. Now that could resonate, it might not. Okay? Somebody might not have used those very words. Somebody might have just said, that's the devil. Oh, that's the devil. Okay, well, maybe they were the devil. You know, there's like, also what I'm getting is that you're not fearing anymore. Because you know how like in religion you're taught to fear the devil, but when you're on the spiritual path, you realize that that devil energy is everywhere. It's always an option. It's an end of the spectrum. Right? It's always there. So the devil is not like a being that we have to fear. So there's something about conquering fear because you're experiencing things for yourself. Precognition, psychic ability, and future vision. Yes, you're allowing yourself to experience your psychic abilities. And listen, forces in this world want you to think that when you're experiencing your psychic powers that you're crazy. That's what they want you to think. They want you to think, oh my goodness, I just talked with my ancestor. I should probably go run to my doctor and get something. You know? Now, I'm not saying that doctors are not useful, okay? I'm so appreciative of the work that doctors do. But what I'm talking about here, what's coming through in this reading is such a fine line. It's like when you open up to your spiritual gifts, that's not crazy. That is not mental illness. Okay? So whether it's the news media putting something out there, or your cousin putting something out there, or your mama, or your daddy, or your sister or brother, or your pastor, your former pastor, okay? Putting something out there that leads you to believe that if you are communicating with spirits, that that's mental illness. You have to know your gifts for yourself. And how would you know them if you don't give yourself the space to experience them? And it feels like that has been the challenge because you were told early on that anything that you would experience that was truly from within you and a result of your connection with the divine, that it was evil, or that it was a result of being confused or ill or something like that. And that's just not the case. So you're giving yourself the freedom to know yourself and to know these beautiful, beautiful gifts that you've had since you came into this lifetime. And I'm getting that there are ancestors that have very similar gifts, and you may have experienced these gifts in past lifetimes as well. So don't be surprised if you experience a lot right away, because a lot of times we push these gifts away when we're children because we're told that it's wrong, or we're not given the help or the freedom to talk about them that we need, and so we push them away. Well, when we open up to it years down the road, it's like whoosh. It's like a lot happens right away because these gifts have been like standing at the door like, when are you gonna let me out? And so dreams, visions, voices, and I'm not talking about psychosis. I'm talking about tuning into other realms, speaking with those who do not walk this earth, but they are there. I'm talking about all of that. And will people tell you that you're loop-de-loo and do all that and do-do-do and have the tinfoil on top? Okay, fine. But these gifts are so precious, and if you have made a choice to open up to them, just know that it's your path. So the question is, do we allow the naysayers, the people who couldn't have a dream if they took something to dream? Okay, you know what I mean? That stuff that people take in order to, okay, they would not dream if they took that. So that's how cut off they are from the spirit realm. And that's why they can so easily make fun of it, is because they don't know. They don't feel it. So, you know, I know that for myself, I will never allow somebody who can't even recall a dream, or who has never closed their eyes and meditated and seen a being, or, you know, I'm not going to allow them to tell me what I should and shouldn't do because I'm crazy. You want to call me crazy? Okay. C-R-A-Z-Y. Loco, loca, loquísima, whatever, however you want to say it. I'm loving my gifts. And that's the confidence that you can have when you open up to your personal experience, and we don't allow religion or anyone else, the naysayers, whoever that might be, to stop us from experiencing our own gifts within ourselves. And it's crazy that they try to tell us that, you know, it's like, oh, you should go witness and save other people and all of that, but I can't reflect on my own dream. I can't talk to my own ancestors, but I'm supposed to be out here telling strangers who they're supposed to worship and ask for forgiveness from and all it is. It makes no sense. So do you. That's what's coming through in this reading, is do you, beautiful being. Because what it leads to is healing and balance. Also, this play energy is so beautiful. I keep seeing in here, like, just having fun, getting to know your gifts, you know. Yeah. And there are times on the healing path where it's like, it can feel difficult, it can feel trying, but we move through those times and we can always realign with the frequency of the inner child and playing and loving and enjoying our path. I feel like that's really what is here for you, is enjoying your spiritual path and enjoying your gifts. Okay, that's the second balance card. So this is real balance. That's what's coming to you. Stability and standing firm. Yeah, standing firm. There might be some beings that you're going to have to be like, look, butt out. But do you pay my bills though? Which of my bills you want to pay, baby? You going to tell me who to worship? You going to tell me what to do with my dreams? You going to tell me what to do with my visions and my ancestors? Which one of my bills you going to pay? Like, that's literally the vibe that I would be giving somebody at this point in time if at 45 years old they going to tell me what to do with my spiritual path. It is insane how much control people have over other people and what they do with their spirituality. You know, it's insane. But anyway, it's the Matrix, so should we be surprised? Yeah, this is card 40. So that number could be significant. The month of April could be significant. Yeah. You're so strong. And every challenge that you might experience on your spiritual path, you have the power. Because I'm seeing her like flexing, even though she's really like, you know, holding something up or like holding up that energy. But I see her flexing. Like, you're strong. You've got it. You've got it. There is no challenge on this path that you cannot overcome. You will overcome whatever challenge somebody tries to put on in your way. And what I'm getting is that some of those challenges you won't even have to like really overcome it, because like, does it even deserve to be a part of your realm? I feel like there are things that people might come to you with that are just because they're nosy, or just because they're jealous of your freedom, the fact that you are so confident and so willing to explore your own path. Because see, that's the thing about these religious organizations, is that there's a whole bunch of people that don't want to be doing it. There are so many people sitting in church on Sunday that don't want to be there, but they give in because, you know, they promised their mama they'd go to church, or, you know, they feel the pressure of their neighborhood or whoever's in their clique to go to church. And it's just like, when they see you out here living your life and choosing to be you, like, that makes them feel so insecure. It should make them feel supported and inspired, right? But once again, it's the Matrix. So yeah, but anyway, okay, let me close with a cosmic energy card. Aw, beautiful being, you have such a beautiful path and lovely gifts too. I feel like you're so powerful. Yeah, you're so powerful. Well, we're gonna keep flipping. Wisdom, okay? You're gonna be getting downloads that are so life-changing. You're one of those people who can easily absorb wisdom from other sources. So you're a quick learner, but also you gain wisdom from the downloads that you receive from the divine. Also, you have stored wisdom that you've carried with you from your ancestors, but also from your own past lives. I don't know why I was having trouble saying that. I am a little distracted because I'm getting a call, which I'm going to answer in just a moment. But that's another thing. You might be getting distractions, but you also have the focus that you need in order to stay on your path. Okay? Thank you, Spirit. Anything else for this beautiful being? All right, blessings and acceptance. Oh, this went right over. Look at the cards. It flew over. Were okay, the intention card, which I saw that in multiple ways, but the deal with the devil and that love card. So if you ever feel tempted to go back to your past, just know that the blessings and the doors that are waiting for you, that's what's on the line. Okay? So by choosing your path, you are making sure that you have the stability and the balance that you need in order to manifest every single blessing that's meant for you. Okay, that's what you're manifesting by taking your path and doing things in the way that you're divinely guided to. Going back to the pressures that people have been putting you under and submitting to that, like, it's okay if you feel that, but you're going to overcome it. Submitting to that pressure you would start to see that a lot of the blessings that you've begun manifesting would start, you'd feel separated from that because you'd be choosing the path that's not truly right for you. Yes, nurture yourself through this. Okay, you might be connecting with a spirit animal or familiar, and you're going to notice so much growth that is undeniable. I feel like within a very short amount of time, you're not even going to recognize yourself. All right, for some of you, this could be past. All right, you might already be like very stable on your path. But remember, these readings can apply to past, present, and future. Okay? Thank you, Spirit, for these messages. I'm so grateful that you allow them to flow through me. And thank you, beautiful being. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in to this reading. I appreciate you, and I'm so thankful for your likes, your kind comments, your shares, your subscribes, your hypes, your donations, and every bit of love that you send to In Her Dreams. I'm so truly thankful for. I love you. I wish you peace. I wish you joy and so many blessings. Take care.